OFAC License 47 has been issued, allowing transactions for sale, distribution, transportation of United States originated diluents, which are necessary for Venezuelan industry, particularly at the heavy crude Orinoco Belt. No third parties involving Iran, Cuba, or North Korea are allowed under this license. It is significant that on this occasion, License 47 differs from License 46, which was the previous license allowing PDVSA petroleum exports and financing, as License 46 did not allow transactions with either Russia or China. Therefore, it looks like in the last few days, some normalization of relations between the United States and both Russia and China may have occurred. We remember that Donald Trump recently said that China was welcome to buy petroleum from Venezuela, just as India is already doing, and perhaps Vladimir Putin's confirmation of willingness to join Board of Peace, complying with a $1 billion deposit, is warming up. Perhaps United States realizes that focusing on Cuba and Iran only would relieve pressure from China and Russia in their retaliations. Gustavo Petro met Donald Trump in the Oval Office at the White House in Washington, District of Columbia, and he mentioned to Donald Trump that monomerous and Ecopetrol are ready to resume petroleum and petrochemical business with Venezuela's PDVSA. Therefore, a forthcoming additional OFAC license allowing such petroleum trade between Venezuela and Colombia could be on the cards, similarly as Trinidad and Tobago has already secured a similar OFAC license for developing Dragon gas deal between Trinidad and Tobago and Venezuela. While Venezuela is quickly restoring its relationship with the United States, Venezuela also needs to restore its relations with Trinidad and Tobago, Colombia, Ecuador, and Panama, all of which have territories associated with former Gran Colombia and Spanish Empire. While Kamla Persad-Bissessar has recently been named as persona non grata by the Venezuelan National Assembly, a de-escalation would be suitable, as quick growth of Venezuelan gas industry would be helped by adequate gas processing infrastructure already available in Trinidad. Similarly, there are several petroleum fields in Barinas and Llanos Basin bordering Venezuela and Colombia, which could be clustered as we move on to a regional gas and petroleum industry rather than individual countries. Gustavo Petro has been bold in requesting the rehabilitation of Great Colombia, which would require Venezuela's improved relationship with Panama and Ecuador, which is necessary. A shortcoming of Venezuela's foreign policy during many years has been to over-rely on statements from international diplomatic organizations such as the African Union or the Eurasian and Shanghai or non-aligned community of nations. Venezuela tried to separate CARICOM through ALBA, and Venezuela tried to separate Organization of American States through CELAC. While ALBA and CELAC, besides confronting United States, have promoted little. Caribbean countries are slowly drifting away from ALBA. St. Vincent and the Grenadines was one of most reliable ALBA supporters and is now firmly aligned with the United States. While Gustavo Petro is finally restoring his relations with United States through Donald Trump's presidency. Latin Americans used to complain during several years that United States forgot about its neighbors. Previous generations of Latin Americans got used to watching United States deal with European, Middle Eastern, and East Asian affairs while neglecting relations with their neighbors in Latin America and Caribbean. As a result, Latin America and Caribbean increasingly relied ties with China and Russia, being Cuba and Venezuela the most extreme cases. Now that United States decided to reapply the Monroe Doctrine as a Donald Trump corollary, redefined as Donroe Doctrine, Colombia, Venezuela, Panama, Ecuador, Trinidad and Tobago, and Guyana have the opportunity of settling old disputes and act as a bloc so that our newly imposed alliance with the United States may be stronger. United States as a unified country can only have relations with other sovereign countries. If Colombia, Venezuela, Ecuador, Peru, Trinidad and Tobago, Panama, and Guyana are dealing separately with the United States, perhaps our foreign offices should start dealing with each other. And actually, Gustavo Petro is doing that with both Ecuador and Venezuela. Gustavo Petro requested Donald Trump assistance on restoring recent economic tariff situations with Ecuador, while Gustavo Petro was among the first presidents who spoke on the telephone with Delcy Rodriguez a month ago, along with presidents of Brazil and Spain. Donald Trump also spoke with President Lula in person recently. While Latin Americans are taught to always be wary of the United States, it has been Donald Trump's presidency, the one which should be credited for making the Americas again. Donald Trump offered President Gustavo Petro a red hat stating "Make America Great Again," and under Gustavo Petro's suggestion, he added an S after America, which reads Make Americas Great Again, with Donald Trump's famous long handwritten signature. Gustavo Petro is boasting this is a great idea, as Gustavo Petro is also emphasizing greatness as a continuation of Venezuelan independence heroes Francisco de Miranda, Simón Bolívar, and Antonio José de Sucre. Gustavo Petro actually opposes New Granada independence hero Santander or Venezuela independence hero Páez, as both of them helped to destroy Gran Colombia. Destruction of Gran Colombia entailed creation of new small countries such as Ecuador, Colombia, and Venezuela, which made it unattractive for Essequibo or Panama to remain joined, and therefore Panama became independent and Essequibo joined Guyana. Restoration of Great Colombia, led by Gustavo Petro, is crucial, and Venezuela now has the challenge of restoring relations with Panama and Ecuador. Election results from 2024 are actually deposited at the Central Bank of Panama, and eventually such information will be released. Delcy Rodriguez government must understand that inherited illegitimacy of former Nicolás Maduro government will remain until the truth comes to light regarding 2024 election results. Politically, it has been decided to remain under Delcy Rodriguez's leadership until 2030 presidential elections, as President-elect Edmundo González has shown no interest in accepting the willingness to fight for his country. Edmundo González does not have the energy of Delcy Rodriguez, and Maria Machado remains ineligible. All this mess occurred because Maria Machado insisted to be herself a presidential candidate while she is barred from Venezuelan politics because of continuous charges on treason to the homeland. As Maria Machado's supporters continue imposing a return of Maria Machado, it is expected that confrontation will accrue. Venezuelans need to get rid of confrontation. It is absolutely necessary to get the amnesty law out of the way. Amnesty law was supposed to be discussed yesterday at the National Assembly per last week urgent request of President Delcy Rodriguez. However, Jorge Rodriguez chose a debate agenda on Venezuelan ambassador to Italy and a law on Red Cross in Venezuela, which are non-sensitive topics that could have waited a few more days. It was unacceptable for the opposition to have been lied on the urgency of amnesty law. Both Jorge Rodriguez and Delcy Rodriguez have increased expectations of a peaceful resolution of Venezuela's internal conflicts by promising accelerated and wide-ranging release of political prisoners and general amnesty. If Minister of the Interior Diosdado Cabello is proposing objections, such objections should be voiced clearly and entail a difficult, tearful, and stressful debate which Venezuela needs to move on. We should not be playing on extra confrontation by postponing debate on amnesty law as an excuse for United States hawks to promote a second wave of United States military attack against Venezuela. Chief of Mission of the United States in Venezuela, Laura Dogu, has published a video on her first activities in Venezuelan soil, which proposes the well-known Marco Rubio mantra of stabilization, recovery, and transition. Venezuelans from both opposition and officialism will agree that stabilization and recovery are welcome as ordinary people in Venezuela consider economic troubles more pressing than political diatribes. However, the third goal of transition is problematic. Transition is not stipulated in Venezuela's constitution, and National Assembly and presidential elections are already scheduled for the year 2030. It is a point of honor of Venezuelans against confrontational attitudes promoted by Maria Machado to continue with our current authorities until the next constitutionally timed elections, which will be in 2030 and not before. Laura Dogu and Marco Rubio must understand that such is the case. Delcy Rodriguez only has 1 month in office, and she has been able to massively improve relations with the United States, as stabilization phase is working wonderfully, and major daily announcements regarding OFAC licenses and approval of hydrocarbon law makes Venezuelans infer that the second recovery phase will also be successful. The transition phase will also be successful if Venezuela calmly revises election laws and political parties during the years 2026, 2027, 2028, and 2029, so that 2030 elections meet international standards. Also, Delcy Rodriguez has the right to complete her term, as she is doing a great job, as constantly reminded to us by President Donald Trump. Donald Trump seems serious on improving his relations with rogue South American countries such as Venezuela, Colombia, and Cuba. There are rumors that Miguel Díaz-Canel and Raúl Castro might actually accept exile in Russia, so that stabilization and recovery of Cuba may begin, in a fashion similarly as it is already happening with success in Venezuela. We might have to wait for a Cuban Delcy Rodriguez. Nicaragua's case with Daniel Ortega as a president who has been a very long time must also be addressed. If Venezuela and Colombia are able to merge their petroleum industries, such as Ecopetrol, PDVSA, and the petrochemicals, Monomeros, and Pequiven, it will be beneficial for restoration of Great Colombia, and President Donald Trump would be credited for improving relations between Venezuela and Colombia. Relations between Venezuela and Colombia have usually been sour during our histories. Even in 1986, there was a breach of Gulf of Venezuela waters border from a Colombian ship, Caldas, who entered Venezuelan waters, and it was quickly repelled by Venezuelan army led by former President Jaime Lucinchi in the 1980s. And even Gustavo Petro, who is supposed to agree ideologically with Delcy Rodriguez on many integration issues, has usually been distant from Venezuela, as Colombian and Venezuelan population have cherished in excess their small nation identity rather than recovering Simón Bolívar's great Colombia. Gustavo Petro should not be alone on that endeavor. There should be more Venezuelans promoting reunification of Great Colombia, as this political restoration of our former great big country would be Petro's achievement, just as making the Americas great again is becoming Donald Trump's legacy for eternity. And Venezuelan President Delcy Rodriguez should take advantage of continued improved enhanced relations with both United States, Colombia, and Trinidad and Tobago, as healing wounds with Kamala Persad Bissessar for the benefit of Dragon Gas deal should become a priority again.